And then the last one, which is maybe a little bit controversial because I use this word to get people's attention. It's all your fault. What I mean by that is you always can control the outcome of anything. So the example I give to people, do I have time to give you?
Of course.
Okay. So the example I give to people, and this is something that I do in the interview a lot, so that people understand how we think at Quest. And if they think it's crazy, I tell them, if you think this story is crazy, you should turn and run in the opposite direction. You will hate it here. But if in hearing it, you're like, oh my God, I want to be around people who think like that, then you'll get us after hearing this story. It goes like this. My wife is British. That's actually true. Mm-hmm. Let's say that she was at home visiting her family in London. She's in the bed that she grew up in. The doors are locked. The alarm's on. Her mom's there. She's safe and sound. Right at that moment, a meteorite comes screaming through the atmosphere, crashes into her bedroom and kills her. Whose fault is that? Now, every time I ask that question, once people stop trying to guess at what they think I'm going to say, and they just give their answer, they say, it's nobody's fault, divine providence, fate, force majeure, dumb, blind luck, however you want to sum it up, but that. Mm-hmm. And my answer is no, it's entirely my fault. And the reason it's my fault is because I know that there's a group right now that track what are called near-Earth objects. That's very true, by the way. They're trying to find some way to knock them off course. So if it could be something truly dangerous, so whether it's a laser beam, a planted nuclear explosion, whatever it is, something to bump it off course so it doesn't collide with Earth. I've never sent them an email with encouraging words. I've never sent them a dime of my money. I've never called them up to give them any ideas, nothing. And I know they exist. Now, I think that's smart because the likelihood of my wife being killed by a meteorite is very, very low. I'd be much better off focusing on car safety or something like that. But I choose not to contact these people. I choose to leave my wife at risk of being hit by a meteorite.
Sure.
So even though I would be mortified and sad if it happened, I would never waste time saying that it wasn't my fault because I could have done something and I chose not to.
Sure.
That to me is empowering. I don't want people feeling guilty about it. You shouldn't waste, like, I wrote an article about this one time. People were like, yo, you're blaming the victim and all that stuff. And what I'm trying to say is you don't have to allow yourself to be a victim, even if you've been victimized, right? Like you can transcend that and you can look back and go, what could I have done differently? Oh my gosh, I could have done all these things. Awesome. I'm now in control again. Yeah. Right? Because being victimized is inevitable. But being a victim, that's a choice, right? It's like pain is inevitable, suffering's a choice. Yeah. So once I freed myself from the belief that I couldn't break out of certain things, like everyone told me, dude, your mom and your sister, like they've got to want it. People kept saying that. They've got to want it. They've got to want to change. And I was like, I reject that because they're going to die. Like they clearly don't want it. So, but I'm not willing to accept that I'm going to lose these people who I love so much. I'm not willing to accept that. So I'm going to acknowledge the human condition, which is that they eat for pleasure and not for sustenance. So I'm going to give them food that they can eat for pleasure that's good for them. Yeah. And my sister's lost 120 pounds. Wow. So it works, right? And my sister owns that. Like she did the hard work. Like she put the grind in. She should be super proud of herself. But at the end of the day, it was born of me not accepting that that I had to wait for her to make that choice.
You took the responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. So just paint that to any area of your life, whether it's you want success, it's not happening because your boss is a or whatever. No, your boss may be a but you haven't learned how to persuade to do what you want. Right. Which is how I think, which is why I say I want to be a Jedi. Because I want to be able to persuade people to do things so that I can move the ball forward on the big goals that I want to accomplish. And just own it. You can always change something.
I'm fascinated by martial arts. I'm fascinated by comedy. I'm fascinated by many, many different things. I don't understand when people say they're bored. Because if I had the time to live 100 lives, I'd be speaking different languages. I'd be living in different countries. I would try a number of different careers because I think there's a lot of unbelievably fascinating, puzzling, complex things that you could study in this world. That's just me and my personality. But that's a personality also that I've cultivated over years of challenges.
Were you like that as a kid too?
Well, I was involved in martial arts very early. And I think that is one of the things that motivated me to explore difficult tasks, because through difficult tasks you learn an incredible amount about yourself, and you through the fire of competition you get to understand motivation, you get to understand the resistance that you have inside your mind to doing hard work, you get to understand the rewards of discipline. Like, you don't truly appreciate relaxation unless you've worked hard, and that is the yin and the yang of life. And I've said this to to the point of people getting sick of it, but one of the worst decisions a man can make, I can only speak for men, obviously, is to be comfortable. I don't think you should try to be comfortable. I think what you should try to do is try to earn comfort. And if you can get a day off where you've worked hard and you've accomplished goals, that day off will be so sweet. When I work hard and I sit in front of the TV, I enjoy the shit out of it. I put my feet up. I have a nice drink. I enjoy my free
chairs
time.
that nids your back or something like that?
I do have one of those.
Do you really?
Those are great.
They're great, right? Yeah.
I don't use it that much though. Honestly, I'm more of a workaholic than I should be. Probably, if the balance was, I probably should relax more than I do, but I never feel like I earned it. But that's part of the reason why when I do feel like I earned it, I can enjoy it. It's because I am more connected to the idea that I need to accomplish things, and it's not like for anybody else's benefit other than my own, or anybody else's approval other than my own. When I have a task, whether it's today I'm going to write 1,000 words, or 2,000 or whatever the number is. If I don't do that, I write things down. Like I'll write down a list of things that get accomplished that day. And if I don't accomplish that, I'll get sick. Like it'll drive me crazy. If I can't fill out that list, that drives me nuts, but that's what led me to be a championship level martial artist. That's what led me to achieve it's like that. It's the reinforcement of those goals, like understanding that you can achieve those goals. It's going to be difficult. You're going to push through the difficulty, and then you're going to understand what difficulty truly is and how much of it is just mental, how much of it is just in your mind, this adversity to difficult task or to struggle. And a lot of people have that. They're scared. They're scared of complications. They're scared of failure. Failure is a big one that people are afraid of. But failure is one of the most important things you could ever have as far as like the motivation to do things differently. One of the reasons why I think that I'm good at friendships and relationships is because I've failed at them in the past. One of the things that I'm good at comedy is because I've bombed on stage. One of the reasons why I'm good at work is because I've been a shitty worker in the past, and I know the feeling of failure, the feeling of shame, of being like a weak, non-motivated, lazy person. That's a weak feeling. You don't respect yourself. And I have this phrase that I use all the time to people to try to motivate people. I say that be the hero in your own movie. Pretend that if your life was a movie and your life started now, what would the hero do? What would the person that you respect do? What would the person that you admire, person that inspires you, what would they do? Well, do that. And if you do that, you slowly build momentum. You today I did what I wanted to do. Today I started a class in yoga. I did this. I did all these things that I was saying I wasn't going to do. And now I feel momentum. And momentum is a very important point in people's lives. That's why some folks don't like to take days off, because they feel like they're losing momentum and they sort of have to restart the wheel up again after a vacation.
What I want you to do is I want you to think of your brain not like you're actually in control of your brain, but actually rather think of your brain like a stubborn horse or a stubborn elephant. And I want you to take on what I call the chariot riding frame. And what that means is that a guy who's good at pickup is like the charioteer. He's good at smacking on the horse. And what happens as a result of that is that you have to learn at coaxing the horse to go to where you want it to go. So let's say that I'm going to come out on the coldest day of the year to record a video blog. I say to myself, you know what, I'll just show up and we'll see if I like it, if I can do it, and I can always go home if I want to go home. Then once I'm out here, it's like, f it, who gives a shit? I should start to have fun with it. It's kind of frightening. I feel like I'm literally about to die, but we'll wrap this quickly. Likewise, say I'm going to go to the gym and I'm not feeling well. Maybe I'll just say, you know what, dude, I'll just warm up. And if I could just warm up, then good enough. Once I get there, I'll probably take action, right? So that's fine. How about if it's like with homework, right? Okay, I'll just read a page, or I'll just go do one math problem. Next thing you know, you're cracking into it. Well, whenever you get into a venue, I want you to think of it the same way. Like, look, I'm just going to go do a quick approach. I'm just going to go say hi. Even on the way to the venue, just start saying hi, okay? Literally, that's just what you should do. I'm going to send my cameraman inside. You just go inside. Just go. I'm very safe. Take the backpack, and you just go inside, and I will survive here. And this. Bang. You got to become the master at coaxing the stubborn horse, okay? Literally, you're just the master at coaxing the stubborn horse. And when you have that down, you'll crush. But when you can't control the horse gets antsy, the horse starts making excuses, and everything goes to shit. Some of the things that I do, for example, is right when I get in there, I'm like, hey! And then my reticular activation system will see everyone looking at me, and And I'll start scanning. I'm like, are people getting mad? Are people getting mad? And when I see that nobody's getting mad, I realize, you know what? I'm not under any kind of threat here. And then I go and I crush it. So basically, you want to think of it like you're always showing your brain what I call proof, not promises, that nothing bad will happen. Okay, you just keep fueling your brain with that. So let's say that you just go start talking to people, right? Like, let's just say I talked to this person here. My brain goes, oh, nothing bad happened. No one came to attack me. It doesn't mean So you actually lose your status anxiety in that environment, and your brain will actually unstifle itself. So you want to be constantly coaxing your brain into unstifling itself. And basically, that's kind of the biggest trick I used to warm up. I'm just like, hey, I'm just riding the charioteer, or I'm just the charioteer riding the chariot. My brain's kind of freeze now.
So many people put me down and say, Nick, you look too weird, and no one's really offended. You can't do this and you can't do that. And I couldn't change anything. It's not like just fixing my hair one day and everything's fine. It's not like, just whatever. I couldn't change my circumstance. I couldn't just one day wake up and say, hey, give me arms and legs. I need arms and legs. You know what I mean? Like, I went to a bodybuilder, and said, can you make me some arms and legs? No joking. Bodybuilder, you get it? Right? So here's the thing. I go up to people, can you give me a hand? Just joking. But it was so hard because people put me down. And I started believing that I was not good enough. I started believing that I was a failure. That I'd never ever be somebody who people would like or people would accept. And it was so hard, man. I thought to myself, I can't go on the soccer field like everybody else, and I can't ride my bike, and I can't skateboard, and all these sort of things. And I started getting depressed. I thought, what kind of purpose do I have to live? I mean, are you just here to live to die? I mean, is there not a purpose for me? Is there not a purpose in life? And I had questions and no answers. And I asked my mom and dad, why did this happen? I asked doctors, why did this happen? And they don't know. There are some things in life that are out of your control that you can't change and you got to live with. The choice that we have, though, is either to give up or keep on going. I want to ask you, what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe in yourself? Are you going to believe everybody else's judgment on you? Are you going to believe people when they say that you're a failure? When no one really likes you, no one really cares about you. And it's not really to say that, hey, you need someone to come up and say, hey, really, I like you, I care about you. No, it's not that, but it's the fact that people put you down. People don't even look you in the eye. People ask you how you are, and you say fine, but you're not fine, and they'll never know that.
Here's maybe the greatest thing a teen or anyone in this room and who's watching on the television at home can learn from the champ. These are words to remember when anyone tries to tell you to give up, tell you to give in, because whatever you're trying to do is impossible. The champ said this: impossible is just a word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. Greatest quote ever. So, as a relatively new dad and a former teen, I'm here to say you will make mistakes along the way. You will fall down. I have, many times. Even Ali did. But what we do after that fall is how we make history, because impossible is nothing.
In your life, what obstacles did you face before you achieved success? Did positivity help you in some ways, and how did you come up with the solution?
Wow, that's a good philosophical question. We all have adversity in our lives. I doubt if you really, if you know somebody, any friend or anybody that you talk to, there's no lack of adversity. And by the way, that's good, because it's what teaches us how to get back up. You fall down, you get back up. It always happens. And, you get certain gifts in life and you want to take advantage of those. But I guess my advice on adversity and success would be to be proud not of your gifts, but of your hard work and your choices. So, you may be, the kinds of gifts you get in life, you might be really good at math. It might be really easy for you. That's a kind of gift. But practicing that math and taking it to the next step, that could be very challenging and hard and take a lot of sweat. That's a choice. You can't really be proud of your gifts because they were given to you. You can be grateful for them and thankful for them. But your choices, you choose to work hard. You choose to do hard things. Those are choices that you can be proud of.
How easy is it when you go practicing now to have what your mindset? Is it to improve, or is it just to keep winning? Or because it's, personally, I found it very difficult at some point.
Yeah, no, for me, it's always to improve. And I've had some tough losses this year. But those losses, I think, were necessary, and they helped me to work on my game. It forced me to see that I need to get better at this, I need to get better at this and this. And now I've gotten better at it, so yeah.
Why are you here? What's your reason for being? Why do you get up in the morning? Most people don't have a clue. To pay the bills, to keep a roof over your head. I think we have to reflect on, who am I? Why am I here? What drives me? If I died today, what 3 words would I want said about me if I died today? You know, what is it that defines me? You know, and how do I define myself? Most people allow their circumstances to define them, as opposed to defining themselves and how they're going to show up in life. And so my mission is to help people to connect with the power they have within, their greatness. When you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have any. And when you live from that place, you can now be able to make a greater contribution and make a greater impact with your life.
When I was 25 or so, I probably weighed about 138 pounds. I smoked like a pack of cigarettes a day. I drank tremendous amount of alcohol. I was from northern Alberta, this rough little town up in northern Alberta called Fairview, and you know, there were long winters there, and my friends were heavy drinkers, and most of them dropped out of school by the time they were 15 or 16, went off to work on the oil rigs, and you know, it was a rough town, and we drank a lot. And I started when I was 14, and you know, and so I had a lot of bad habits, let's say, and things that were, and I wasn't in great shape physically, and I was also still intellectually obsessed by, as I am now, and so that would have been in 85. But I decided around then, about 85, 84, something like that, maybe a little earlier, that I was really going to try to get my act together, and so I started doing that. First of all, I quit smoking. Well, that took a long time because I eventually had to quit drinking too in order to quit smoking. And I started working out, started playing sports, which I'd never done. I had a fine time when I was a kid, but I needed really to get disciplined. And I had to do it because I was working on these hard problems that I've been discussing with all of you, and I've been working on them really, obsessively since I was probably about 18, maybe even earlier than that. And got to the point around 25 when I was in graduate school trying to get my PhD, so doing all my research. Like, I published 15 papers by the time I graduated with my PhD, which was by a fairly large measure the most papers that any graduate student at that time had ever published at McGill. I think that's right. Might have been twice as many, or maybe twice as many, maybe even 3 times as many. And at the same time, I wrote Maps of Meaning, which was a terribly difficult thing to do, because I was writing about 3 hours a day doing that, and I couldn't do all that and continue with my misbehavior, my sort of, what would you say, my massive hedonistic consumption of alcohol and all of that. I just couldn't keep it up, and also work seriously on the issues that were at hand. So, I had to stop. That's a sacrifice. I had to stop messing about and straighten myself out.
I'm a believer, bro. I see things and I want to make them real. No matter how hard it takes, no matter what obstacles, no matter how many embarrassing meetings I have to imagine is happening when I leave. Doesn't matter. I'm a doer and a freaking make it happen.
I was a garbage man, like Troy. You get 8 hours worth of work, but you can do it in 3. So you can go home as soon as you finish. Post office, you get 3 hours worth of work and you make it last 8. I did both. I like being a garbage man better. But they weren't bad jobs. It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, move over, get out of here. Your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a gift. Obviously, everybody here is talented enough to do that, but don't get it twisted. It's just a movie.
The harder I work, the more productive I will be, has been debunked by the science. If you study human performance, here's what they've realized, and Jim Lair and Tony Schwartz have done some great work in this field, but here's what the science says. Optimal performance and productivity happens in 90-minute cycles. So what am I saying? Work for 90 minutes and then take a break to recover. Then work for another 90 minutes and then go for a walk. And then work for another 90 minutes and then take a drink of water. And then work for another 90 minutes and maybe take a nap or read something interesting that's not related to what you were doing. What will that do? It will keep your mind focused on the work at hand. It will increase your energy, because energy is like a well. You deplete it, you need to fill up the well again. And it will really keep you at your productive best, and it will also keep you inspired rather than getting burned out.